So here recently we discovered that a squirrel had gotten onto our kayak trailer up under the boat cover and chewed holes in one of our Hobie Outbacks. This is my little brother's kayak, and the squirrel has actually chewed holes almost big enough to put your hand in. That's one of the holes right there. That's not a rod tube. That's where a rod tube used to be. And it actually chewed a hole there. It chewed every one of the rod holders on this kayak. So today's video, we partnered up with Gator Guards. They sent us out just about every patch that they carry, and we're gonna see if we can save this kayak. Y'all stick around. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name's TJ. Welcome to Kayak USA. So like I said a while ago, today's video, we're gonna be trying to repair and save this Hobie. This is a 2016 Hobie Outback, and a squirrel has literally chewed almost all of the rod tubes completely through. Like there's a hole on every one of these rod tubes, but some of them are way worse, like this one I showed you. It's completely gone, so we're gonna have to probably patch over that and put in a new rod tube or something there. But before we get into today's video, I do wanna say, if you are new here and you like this kind of content, go check out my YouTube homepage. I got a ton of videos like this, and I drop a new one every Thursday at 2 p.m., so consider subscribing. And if you wanna support me even further, below this video, if you're watching on desktop, you can see a little join button. You can click that join button and become part of the Yak-Squad. So that gives you access to members only content, videos, live streams, stuff like that. And you can support my channel and make it so that I can continue to make videos just like this. And if you're watching on mobile or an iPad, it'll be the top link in the video description box below. Click that link, sign up, become a member of the Yak-Squad, and be a part of the tight-knit community that we get on there and we discuss, you know, questions and answers on kayaks and boats and graphs and stuff like that. So, but today's video, like I said, we're gonna try to save this kayak the best we can. We've got several holes to fix in this kayak. Gator Guards sent us out every size patch that they carry, from their 9-inch by 12-inch patch to their kill guard strip, which you've seen me install one of these on my Hobie Pro Angler. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it right here. These things are perfect for a kill guard for your kayak. Once you get them on, they get really hard and they save you. You can just drag your kayak across rocks and stuff and not worry about damaging your boat. Really good stuff. But they sent one of those out. They sent some of the smaller patches. These are 3 by 6 inches, and they sent out some 6 by 9 patches. So this stuff works really good because you can cut it to the size you need, put it on your boat, and then cure it with UV. And so usually it's by sunlight. You can set your kayak out in the sun, but today it is February, I think the 16th, and it's snowing outside here in Alabama. We don't ever get snow, but today it's snowing, so definitely not gonna be using the sun. I've got a black light that we're gonna use, and once we get the patches on, we're just gonna use a black light to cure it, and then we can sand it and possibly paint it if we have to. But some of these we may be able to heat up and get, you know, molded back and just use small pieces of these patches and still save these rod tubes. Some of these we may have to sand down and paint, but that's what's great about these Gator patches is once they're hard, you can sand them, you can paint them to match your kayak or paint them any color you want, and they last forever. So really good product. Some other stuff that we're gonna be using today. Now I'm gonna link everything that I'm using in today's video in the video description below. It'll be a link, one link, it'll be kit.co/kayakusa, and I'll have a cart put together with everything that I use. So if you're working on a kayak or you need to fix your boat or something, you can click on that link and find the exact stuff that I'm using today. A few tools that I drug out, and I've actually bought a couple of new ones that I might use today, is some really cheap stuff. Like this is a plastic welding kit. Now, this is nothing but a cheap, really small soldering iron, but they have a flat tip on them, and I'll show you up close when we start using them. It's just got like a flat triangle tip, and we're gonna use it to heat up some of these corners maybe and mold it around. I picked this up at Harbor Freight, but you can get everything on Amazon. I'll have links to it all below. We got a local Harbor Freight, so it was easier for me just to run and get it instead of ordering it right now. I've also got some sanding sponges. This is 100 grit. It's just little sponges so we can sand it down. I've got a heavy duty hot knife. Now, I may not use the hot knife. I've just had it sitting here on the shelf. I did dig it out so that if we have to use it, these are great for if you're having to cut out damage on a kayak. You can use a hot knife instead of a saw and kind of just melt through it and get a precise cut on the plastic. So I did dig that out. I've got a blowtorch that we may be using, and I've also got this propane torch, which these do really well. I got this one at Harbor Freight. I think it was like $25 or something like that. But these do way better sometimes than just a good old blowtorch, because these blowtorches, they blow a harsh flame. It's like really stout flame, you know. This you can hook to the same bottle, but you can turn the flame down so it's more of like just an open fire. You know, it's almost like a lighter flame versus like a torch blowing flame. So we may use this today. The goal is, I don't want to sand away too much plastic. So the reason you would want to use flames or heat when you're repairing a kayak, like we've got a lot of teeth marks, and I'll show you up close real quick. Let me get this other camera going for you. So as you can tell, we've got a lot of teeth marks. Look at that. That squirrel has completely just, all of these are little tooth marks with that squirrel, and you can see where the holes go completely through here. And the same thing with this rod holder. The hole goes completely through there. I'll show you this one. Completely through right there. All these little teeth marks. This side's not too bad on this one. But then you got this one. This is the worst one of them all. I mean, that hole goes, it's gone. That rod tube is completely gone. They even chewed it out all the way to the side of the boat. So we're gonna have to patch over this completely. Maybe even cut this rod tube out here and use the plastic maybe to weld. So you don't want to, whenever you're fixing a kayak and working with plastic and stuff, you want to save as much of that plastic intact as possible. So you can take sandpaper and sand it to get it smooth to be able to use gator patches, but it would be more ideal, because when you sand, you lose a lot of plastic. Like all that dust that's coming off is actually plastic that you're losing. So what you can do is use a flame or a hot iron and actually push the plastic back together and smooth it out that way. And then we can go back with the gator patches over the holes and get them hard. So let's get into it. I think we're first gonna start with these easier ones, and I'm just gonna set the camera up and maybe even do a little time lapse, because this is probably gonna take all day for me to get these right the way, you know, I don't wanna do it halfway. I want to make sure I do it right. So I may set up a time lapse and work on this. When we get to the big hole over here, I'll stop the camera and we'll work on it together, and I'll talk through exactly what I'm doing. If you've got any questions after you see this video, be sure to hit them up in the comments. I try to read everybody's comments, and I'll respond to you and get back with you and maybe help you out if you're working on with yours. So let's get to it. All right, so I got everything heated up here. You can see the hole opened up a little bit, which is good, because now I know that the plastic that's still there is kind of thicker now. It's not as fragile and brittle as it was before I heated it. I got rid of all the little tiny pieces of plastic that were sticking off there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these 100 grit sanding sponge blocks that I've got, and I opened up one of these smaller gator patches. It's the 3x6 patch. And I'm gonna patch this main hole here. So we're gonna cut pieces, and I'm just gonna kind of mold it around the side of this hole, and then we're gonna cure it. And we're gonna be curing it with my wife's, this is her fingernail polish. She does like her own gel nails. So she's got this black light that's good for curing, I guess, the gel in her fingernail polish, and it uses UV to do it. So we can turn it on. As you can see, I got a UV light that I'm gonna be able to turn on and set right over top. Can you see it glowing there on top? And it will cure this gator patch. So it looks like those other holes are going to be pretty easy, as you've seen, to patch. I've got this one curing under the black light right now, and it's working pretty good. The only bad thing about using one of those nail polish curing black light things that I'm using, they have timers on them and it keeps cutting off, and I keep having to reach over and turn the freaking timer back on. So if you're going to do it, if you've got a black light, like just like a regular black light bulb or something that you can just plug up and set over it, that'll stay on without having to keep cutting it on, because I may end up doing that. I may go down and get, I think my son's got a black light. I'll go steal it out of his room and we'll cure the patches with it today if that one keeps giving me a hassle like that. So we're just gonna patch this whole top. And if my brother wants to put him another rod holder back in, the good thing about using these gator guards is once they cure, you can actually drill in them, you can tap them, you can cut holes in them, you can screw screws into them. They become hard, even harder than the actual plastic. So they actually, those patches, once they're on and they're cured, they will last longer than the actual plastic on the boat. All right, y'all, I got all the patches installed. As you can hear, they are cured. It took about 15 minutes to cure these using that UV light. That UV light really surprised me. I didn't know that my wife even had it, and she was like, I've got a UV light, and it worked great. I'm gonna link it below, like I said earlier. If you're gonna be doing patches on your kayak, that thing's super cheap. It's almost worth just buying for that job because it cures these patches so well. Nothing left really to do except for to sand these patches in these front ones and this side one over here. I didn't really do a whole lot of blending there. We don't have the paint yet to match it, so that's all I got left to do is we'll sand these patches down, paint it, and make them look good. If you noticed in the video, I did use a different technique on one of these holes, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you buy a new kayak, if you ever notice, it comes with a disc of plastic, and usually the plastic is the same exact color of the kayak, and they send you that so that if you get a hole in your kayak, you can use that torch technique to actually repair it. You heat up the plastic on the kayak and heat up the little disc and blend it together. I was just showing that. You don't have to do that with these gator patches. Obviously, I mean, we could have put a baseball through that hole and the gator patch just sealed right over it. So you don't have to do that with these gator patches, but if you're in a predicament where you've got to patch your boat and you've got some plastic laying around, you can actually do the technique with a torch. You just got to be really careful because it's really easy to burn a hole straight through your kayak. So be careful and just blend it together. But if you can, just get you a gator patch. I mean, these things are great. They got in every size you need. And as you've seen, I did that big hole there and these other 3 rod tubes with a 6x9 patch, and then the little skinny one was the 3x6 patch, and I still got this much left. And as long as I put these back in the little pouches and I don't let the sunlight get to them to cure them, these things will last forever, and I'll just stick them up, and next time I need to work on a kayak, I'll have these here. So I'm gonna save those. Everything else I used in today's video will be linked below, as I said at the beginning of the video, so you can just check that out. If you liked today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're new, go check out my homepage, check out all my other videos, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to support me even more, link in the top of the video description below. Click it, become a member of the Yak-Squad, support the channel so we can continue to make content like this and we can just keep growing Kayak USA. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.